Our next speaker, Christina Taylor, is the head of Human-Centered Design at Swisscom Schweiz. Is that the correct pronunciation? And she has come all the way from Switzerland here today to discuss how human-centered design can be used as a means of problem solving. But having had the benefit of having a sneak preview of her presentation, one of the things I find most interesting is that she's going to talk a lot about how it has actually changed the way that they work and their process. She believes in the value of inspiring workspaces, how to achieve a delicate balance between creativity and control, and the benefits of challenging, quote, the way it has always been done. And that's a theme we'll be hearing quite a bit of today. So please join me in welcoming Christina Taylor.
Thank you, Irene. Well, good morning. I'm often asked by my friends and other colleagues, why on earth do you work for a national Swiss telecom provider? It's not really a place you would think a designer can expand and unfold and solve complex and wicked problems. I think actually it is. Swisscom is one of the only companies, at least that I know of Europe, that puts the human in the center of everything that it does. This radical approach to human-centered design shows in our metrics. You see here the Net Promoter Score with around 30. This is a very high value for a telecom operator. These are companies that are usually not by nature recommended from customer to customer or from employee to employee. We also introduced a new metric, the customer centricity score. It measures how people collaborate together in a creative way and how they put the customer first, how they put the customer in the center of all their decisions, and how they execute experiences that actually delight the customer and are easy to install and to use. We have a market share that is constantly attacked over years, but we can hold it in the mobile and in the internet sector between 50 and 60%. That is very high, and we are always attacked by the state that we run nearly a monopoly. This is not by law that happens, it's because the customers are in the center and they gravitate back to us. We do have around 20,000 employees, 16,000 of them in Switzerland and 4,000 in Italy, where we bought another company where we try to do the same thing. This is our visual map of our commitment to the market, to the customer. We are a quality-driven company. I guess that's our Swiss roots that demand that again and again. We have a promise to the market that we offer the most performing, the best network anywhere a customer is. That means on the top of the mountain and in the most remotest valley, even though it's not profitable to us. This is, again, to put the experience first and not only the financial values. In the middle, you see that this commitment to best experience is one of the top 3 objectives of the company. This seems now obvious and simple, but it took us, with the Human-Centered Design Department, around 5 years to get that commitment from the board of directors. You see on the bottom line also 3 roles that we scale bottom up throughout the whole company. One of them is that we tell everybody to be a designer, to take it in their own hands and to simplify their projects themselves. We give them the tools, the methods, the process to do that. And it's actually possible. We also tell them be a pioneer, inspire people, because we do have to reinvent our business models every 7 years. the turnover that we made 7 years ago did not happen with the products that we have today. We do measure things. It's always very difficult if you are in a designer world, in an intangible, emotional world, how to express it with figures. But you see here our 3 values that we commit to our customers. Make things simple, be inspiring, and trustworthy. And we compare ourselves with the competitors with which we overtook and left in the dust. But then we take the best in class. We checked who is the most simple brand perceived by the customers in Switzerland, and it's IKEA. For me, it's not easy to install a shelf from IKEA. I always have to ask my husband to do that. But people think it's simple. So we took that inspiration and actually simplified our installation process, for example, in the TV, to make it as simple or even more simple, a plug-and-play experience for our customers. Same with inspiration, which is Apple, and same with trustworthy mentoring experience, which is one of a very solid and bio-driven food chain in Switzerland. So we did realize maybe 8 years ago that it's not enough just to offer a commodity, a network, and on top a service with a good call center or shop advice. We do have to focus on experience. But what does it mean? Experience means that it involves everyone of the company, because the customer journey is at the center of everything we do. It involves legal to make easy contracts, and I learned yesterday how to make that even more inspiring and easy. It involves finance to make the billing experience better and easier to understand. It was a mess a few years ago, and a lot of written text that no one would ever read. It involves engineering to do actually the technology. It involves also the touch point people to change the way they talk to customers. So it's the one single thing that nobody can actually say no to, the customer journey. It also convinced our CEO. This is the average revenue per user we commanded by our price plans a few years ago. It's 70 Swiss francs. We had to offer a lot of service to get the customer satisfaction up. That involved a lot of cost, but the price could only go up 3 francs. So this was a problem for our company. But now that we position ourselves as an experience-driven company, we could nearly triple our average revenue per user, and we have a lot of really good cross and upselling happening, and also people are less price sensitive and are eager to pay for quality products. This is one example of a product we designed. It's our TV product, which we designed from scratch. With a small company in Hungary, we started to do that. And we started with the customer, and the question was how to make it simpler as everyone else and more inspiring. We started with the big screen, the TV, in a lean-back position, but now deploy it to the mobile phone, to the iPad, and to other content-driven gadgets. The mindset that the team has is very different than what other teams do, because they were driven from the beginning by the customer and how to make things simple. You always see the end result is different if a team works with a human-centered design approach. So doing that with 1 or 2 products and having big success, even with price plans we did it, the question was how can we scale it? And we started to implement in 2008 what we call innovation culture. I like to elaborate a bit on that. The purpose in the middle is the customer experience. And there are many experiences for each product, even for a sales interaction with the customer. So it's done again, again, and again, and always refreshed and adapted to the new customer and market needs. Then we follow a systematic approach to take everything that matters, that is important within Swisscom, and we align it to this customer experience. First, strategy. We realized our strategy did not involve the human. It did not show what are the human needs and how can we solve them and make them a better life. So we do change that, and it's still an ongoing process with strategy to get human problem solving in the center of our most important high-level strategic decisions. We changed the processes in the whole organizations. I think that is the most difficult part, because we are Swiss. I guess we like processes and things to hold on and that you can repeat. But there are many of them, nobody knows why they exist. They are like 50 or 80 years old. So we phase them out, we invent new ones, or we say radically, we don't need any processes. We only need tools with design thinking, and here you go. You can do it without it. That's the biggest change and freaks many people out because they don't feel very safe doing it. So we have to do a bit of hand-holding there. The metrics are often forgotten, and there we balance them out with human metrics like I showed before. I guess an important thing is also training and doing human-centered design workouts where people experience firsthand how you can design a product in 2.5 days with intensive work, make a prototype after 2.5 days, get feedback from the customer as well as bots and experts, and then go on rolling it out. So we do a lot of explorative prototyping work, and that also is one of a big change for Swiss people. Workspace was a hobby of mine because I was so inspired in Silicon Valley to walk through companies like Google, like Apple, and I thought, wow, there is another energy there. We have to translate that into Swiss culture and make something like that. And we built the Brain Gym in 2009, and now it became a very important symbol for us, and we scale it throughout Swisscom. It's all different. It has reframed furniture, it has color, it has books all over the place, and prototypes that hang around the walls. And I think that is very important too, and makes that change tangible. Here is the time frame. It started a long time ago. It's like over 16 years that we are on that journey, and it started with the CEO being in the valley and realizing I have to change things. Since then, we deploy it in Switzerland, and I think actually it will never end, and that worries me a little bit. How can you hold the energy to actually succeed with that marathon? The team we have consists of people like researchers, ethnographs. You talked about empathy before. I think that's one very important task, to understand unexpressed human needs. And there, human-centered design, I think, has the mindset as well as the methods and tools at hand to do that better. We don't do it ourselves. We educate our engineers and send them to the customer and say, observe now how he downloads pictures. And from that comes a very different product than when he does everything in the headquarters behind the screen. We do have co-creators who help to develop product, and we do also have a compliance team where we can actually give a formal no for market launch. So if a product experience is not simple and easy enough in the eyes of the customer, not the team, the customer, we can give a no-go as a human-centered design department. that's an important message to the whole organization. So we started with 3 people, now we are 60, but the question was, how can we scale? So we attracted 160 what we call human-centered design facilitators to help us scale this idea. These are engineers or marketeers or HR people, it doesn't matter from where they come, but we help them to use human-centered design methods and tools, early customer feedbacks. We show them how to do prototypes and they use it in their own departments. It works very well and it became a big education and development program that we now do with HR. So it is a very fast-moving, challenging world, much driven through digitalization. I think because we provide digital services, we are sort of at the center of it. And we learned the last 8 years that the only stable anchor in this craziness is the customer experience and the human. It's sort of crazy, but it gives also hope and energy to navigate this space. So with everything we do, we start with the why, with the core meaning. Why do you do a product? Why do you do this process? And with that, actually, we can eliminate a lot of waste early stage. We call it love it, change it, leave it. So we have many more change it and leave it decisions as before. But we make it okay to do that because it's an official method from human-centered design to be able to actually kill a product or to change it or to leave it. Always driven from the beginning at the core meaning. So this is a reversal of the development engineering process where they start very often at the outside of it and start with feature talks instead of meaning and why questions. Another important tool we always use is balanced conscious decision making. I was checking some decision documents that our board had for the last 3 months and realized the customer, the human, was nowhere in there to be found. There were a lot of technological papers, a lot of financial papers, but nowhere it was written how do we achieve the Net Promoter Score or how did the team work to achieve that. And since we scan that, we have much better results and also can get their simplicity into decision making. What people and companies often do wrong is delegate complexity to the individual. That will never work because the individual, the employee, is overwhelmed by that huge task. The organization does everything to work against the customer and creates complexity as it is often felt in an organization with more than 4,000 people. So we do also have training programs for top management. We call them 7 design skills, where they learn how to provide the freedom for teams to think and question things and ask the why questions. Or how do they have to give tasks so they prototype and don't do immediately a tech solution. This is important and goes on and on, and we do a lot of onboarding education with new top management in this field. For project teams, it's an easy here, create, deliver mindset and tool method tool set that we have and educate them in, and we give it to everybody. We don't want to do it ourselves as human-centered design department. It's our interest that it can be done by the whole organization. Prototyping and feedback, here we use also digital tools where you can upload any idea prototype and get the feedback by the employee within 2 hours after having uploaded it. That radically reduced the failure rate of our products, and we could improve it from 5 to 30%. The customer journey, I said at the beginning, is a tool, but for us it's much more. It's something that holds us together as a company, that we always question, how can we make it better? How can we connect it better, this customer journey, across all silos that are often designed to break it? As a personal conclusion to this talk, I have to say, it is a journey that is difficult. It's a marathon, but it's worth it. It needs a lot of boldness and a lot of also saying no capability. So you have to invent the tools and the culture around it to make it happen. But it is certainly a mindset and the attitude that makes you capable to navigate the future in a very successful way. Any questions?
One, thanks for the presentation. Have you had other companies come to you to benchmark your processes and take it back to their company?
Yes, we did have, in the last 2 or 3 years, a few. So we started also to sell our service to other not competitive companies because there are not many who actually did a journey with such a long time frame, and we are very eager to share our knowledge, how we did that. And on the other hand, we can learn from other industries how they do it. So I believe a lot in this open learning community approach.
Do you have any examples of some ideas that really emerged from the customer, that really went through the process and came to market?
We do have a small one, which is a quick help idea that the customer said with an installation process that he could actually do it himself, and he was an ex-engineer, designed that thing and sent it to us. So we have a lot of improve ideas from customers that help us a lot. We don't have many new ideas from customers how to create future projects. I think that is something that has to come from our own vision by observing customers. But improved things are very valid. We do also involve all the feedbacks from our customers that come in the call centers or shop. We have a digital tool called Echo, so it echoes us back what are the problems, and the engineers can immediately access it. That also changed a lot in the thinking. That's also use, for example, of big data that scales customer knowledge in an easy way within Swisscom.
You mentioned it took 5 years to get the board to change its mindset. What was it that sort of made them switch? Was there an aha moment or something someone presented that?
I think it was when the urgency becomes more intense. We started to lose market share. We started to be under more aggressive attack with our pricing. That's when they eventually started to change. We hope that they change before it gets tense, but this to change out of comfort, I think, is very hard. This wasn't possible. But now it's very hard to hold it because the market is very international and becomes very aggressive. And there, I think, without a department like us, they would not be able to hold it. It's the mindset. They are in an older world with another kind of mindset, and it's more traditional than going forward in that way.
The cable companies we have here are very resistant to change. And it seems the customers, their idea of simplicity is sort of moving towards this on-demand culture. We don't want 1,000 channels for a pre-packaged thing that you designed for us. So do you feel, as technology progresses, do you feel that your customers are challenging sort of your own business structure or anything that you're sort of trying to provide for them?
Absolutely. That's why we see as our competitors, people like Apple or Google or YouTube, and we don't see cable companies as competitors anymore. I think it's all about the share of wallet of the customers to stay relevant for the customer, and it doesn't matter whether it's an internet service or a traditional network service. So we position ourselves very differently. And I'm surprised how cable companies are here. I think they wouldn't survive in Switzerland with that service.
I have a question about, you said the biggest change was eliminating Swiss-like processes, and people freaked out, and giving them tools instead. Can you elaborate on that and give us an example of some type of process that was hard for people to let go?
Yes, it's, for example, we had a process how to launch new price plans, and this is a big thing to launch a new price plan because it has to go through many toll gates, because it's you can't make mistakes, but it took 9 months. So in 9 months, the pricing is not relevant anymore that was designed. So we had to figure out a new way how to actually come up with a new relevant price plan that builds a long time customer relationship and launch it in 3 months. So we just said we don't use any of the old process that was used over 50 years again and again. And that freaked everyone out, including the CEO. But then we started to iterate. We prototyped the price plan and show it to the board of directors and said, listen, that's how it could be, give feedback. And then we, instead of one board decision, we had 15 board decisions of how can we implement it and how would it be in future. And I think this prototyping with decision makers as well as call center agents and salespeople gave them a new stability to let go of the old way of doing it. But it's a huge effort, and first people were very, what are they doing? Because we come with drawings instead of an elaborate calculated price plan. The calculation we do, but only when we are sure that it's in the right direction at the very end of the process. But yeah, letting go processes seems very difficult for process-driven organizations.
Christina, can you talk a little bit about, the change within your company was obviously business decision driven, but can you talk a little bit about the tactics for how you changed the culture within your organization to accept this new approach?
I think the big tactic is to use this systemic approach with the 5 different bubbles, how I call them, that you do change the metric as well as the strategy, as well as recruitment and capabilities, as well as implement new tools, methods, and actually eliminate old processes. That for us is the key winner. First, we did only 1 or 2, like people education, and it never scaled. Because people were educated, they come back to the reality of life, and the process, they couldn't not do it. The metric and incentive did not honor what they learned in our education programs. So I think that's what I call the employee experience. You have to think from a perspective as team and employee, and then design from there. So it's a whole different way of work and organization, and we are still pushing it through. It didn't yet swap over that it's our DNA, unfortunately. I think it could if we changed probably half of the top management and employee designers. But that didn't happen yet.
Thank you so much, Christina, for coming all this way to share your wisdom. I'm curious, organizationally, how are you structured? Are you in engineering, HR, communications, marketing? And how many levels are there between you and the top management?
It's a good question because I moved every year because nobody knows what to do with me. I started as a direct report of a guy who reports to the CEO in the residential department, and now I'm in product development, also one level below the CEO. But it's sort of really funny how we're moved around like a hot potato. Everyone wants us, but no one knows how to deal with us because we disrupt hierarchy. We don't care what the CEO says or what anyone says. We solve problems for humans, and some like that and some not. So it's like a funny experience for me. Sometimes, I have to get a lot of force to get stability with my team, so they actually also believe in that it's okay not to conform as much and be this more freer spirit within this large and more traditional organization. But now it's good, yes. We have direct access to everyone we need.
Hi, thank you. Oh,
Thank you.